What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's reaction video is World War II Oversimplified Part 1.
We like these guys.
We do. It's been a while since we've done one of these.
I think the last one was Civil... No, it wasn't. It was the Was it the Revolution?
I honestly can't remember. It was definitely last year. We haven't done one this year.
It was 2 parts.
Oh yeah, a lot of them definitely been 2 parts.
The American Revolution. I don't know. It was something.
It's like,
it was something to do with history.
We've definitely done a few of these, so we can't remember which one we've done. But it was literally 100% before Christmas. The last time we did an Oversimplified. It was that long ago.
Yeah, it might have even been when we were at your mum's.
I don't know if we've done one in this flat. So we're bringing it back. Smash that subscribe button for OverSimplified. Smash that like button as well, you absolute legends. We will do World War One as well, so let us in the comments if you want. Assuming they have it, I assume they do.
Yeah.
But World War Two popped up. We're doing that today. Hope you enjoyed. Part 2 will be out tomorrow, shall we say?
Yes.
We haven't recorded it. We'll record it tomorrow. It'll be out tomorrow, so look forward to that. Check out our Patreon as well, because Oversimplified, I'm pretty sure they block most of our videos. I think most Oversimplified videos have been blocked. Not so you can't see it, but there's claims and all sorts. It's a little bit of a nightmare of Oversimplified, but we enjoy it, so we're doing it anyway. So we'd appreciate if you check out Patreon. Are you ready?
I am.
Let's get into it. World War II Oversimplified. What we got?
It's 1902. A young man by the name of Benito Mussolini moves from Italy to Switzerland to avoid military service. He gets big into socialism, working for trade unions, writing for socialist newspapers, advocating a budget.
No, the thing is, we didn't speak about. I don't think I mentioned my comments to you the other day, did I?
When did the quiz go out? 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
No.
So it might have been a little bit harsh when we just throw it on you, but I didn't mean it in anything mean. I really didn't mean anything mean.
No, I didn't know people roasted me.
No, it was only a couple comments, but it just made me think, why don't we do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I'm ready to get all my knowledge out.
That's what I mean. When you said that, I was like, you're just going to be throwing knowledge out now. Just like, yeah, I'm stupid. Which you're not. You're very smart. High five.
Well,
again, we like high five.
I don't think it's about being stupid. I just think I wasn't in World War One, and
I'm
British, so my history lessons were British.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't know a lot about World War One or World War Two, to be honest.
I'm guessing they were in World War Two as well. Then
exactly. At the end of the day, it's only an easy thing to know if you know it.
Well,
if you've been taught it, so.
You can't be perfect at everything.
Nah, definitely not.
Violent overthrow of European monarchies, the whole shebang. This gets him in a bit of trouble with the Swiss police, so he gets arrested, sent back to Italy, set free, returns to Switzerland, is arrested again, goes back to Italy again, completes his military service after previously avoiding it, and then after a brief stint as an elementary school teacher, he finally returns to work as an avid socialist. His speeches and journalistic abilities made him famous among Italian socialists. He was anti-war, so when Italy colonized Libya in 1910, he rioted and got arrested. Then World War I came along, and once again he protested Italy's involvement. But then he thought, wait a minute, this war could bring about the social climate needed to overthrow European monarchies and bring about the socialist revolution everywhere. And suddenly he was pro-war. But his fellow socialists didn't like his new pro-war stance, so they kicked him out of
So his gender.
the party. So then he said, you know what? I'm done with socialism. We need something new, not based on class divisions tearing us apart, but based on unity through nationality. We'll conquer the Mediterranean and reunite all Italian peoples just like the days of the Roman Empire. I'll call it fascismo, and it will guide the Italian nation to greatness. That's all well and good, Mr. Mussolini, but what kind of haircut am I giving you? Let's go with bold.
What?
I mean, bit of a weird intro, but I'll go with it.
Definitely.
Italy had been on the winner's side in World War I, and they hoped they were going to get a lot out of it, but in the end, they only got a little, and they felt cheated. On top of that, a bad economy and weak governments meant that the Italian people were a little unhappy. So when Mussolini came along and said that he could fix everything, his fascist movement gained a lot of support. In 1922, he went to the king and said, make me prime minister, or I'll make me prime minister. And the king said, you and what army? This army. Fair enough.
Welcome
then he
to
went
Prime
about
Minister.
establishing a dictatorship with himself at its center. Europe had its first fascist
dictator. I am
dictator.
super confused.
Where are we going? What's going on?
Yeah, because
what country are we in?
I thought Germany started everything with Hitler. I thought they just started it and then people picked sides, but obviously not. Obviously, maybe this is a background story of it building in other countries. Then when Germany came on the scene, it was like, yeah, we're helping you out like Italy.
Don't know, but my knowledge is not coming through.
Yeah, same. Same.
Next
We're in
up,
the same boat.
Germany.
Oh, here we
Germany
go.
had been on the loser's side, and
Could have waited
You
a
just
second.
shut up.
got absolutely wrecked by the Treaty of Versailles. They lost territory, had to demilitarize the Rhineland, had to reduce their army to just 100,000 men, couldn't have an air force, had to pay the Allies a huge amount of money that it didn't have, and a new rule was established that every Englishman withheld the right to walk into the center of Berlin, pick out any German they wanted, and spank the hell out of them. I made that last one up, but it helps you understand how all this felt to Germans. On top of that, a bad economy and weak governments meant that when a small angry man with a silly mustache came along and said that he could fix everything, the German people loved it. Hitler had been a soldier during World War I, and he was crazy patriotic, and nobody was madder than him about Germany's humiliation. He helped start a new political party, and in 1923 attempted a march on Munich with his boys. And then he got arrested. But his popularity grew and grew, and in 1933, the president made him chancellor. He believed he was Germany's great destined savior, and he went full megalomaniac, establishing a dictatorship with himself at its center. Europe had fascist dictator number 2. Hitler and Mussolini had a lot of the same ideas, but more importantly, they had the same enemies, and they started to get along. Anyone else want to be friends? Franco? No? You good? I do. Who's that? It's Japan, and they've taken over northern China. Let's rewind a bit. Japan had isolated itself from the rest of the world for over 200 years until the Americans showed up and said, you're going to trade with us and you're going to like it. Then the Western powers imposed a bunch of unequal treaties, meaning Japan's economy was bust. They also had no natural resources, so they decided to go get some. They went to war with China to gain a sphere of influence over Korea, and they took a bunch of China's stuff. But then the West said, hey, cut that out. And since Japan couldn't take on the West, they said, okay, I guess we'll just go home. Wait a minute, what are you doing? Taking advantage of a weakened China and setting up spheres of influence. But I was the one who weakened them. We know. And you guys didn't let me have anything. We know. That seems unfair. We don't think so. Okay, see ya. So Japan thought, screw this, and went to war with Russia, and stunned everyone by actually winning. Then they fully annexed Korea, but they didn't stop there. In World War I, they took Germany's colonies and islands in Asia. And then in an incident that was maybe staged by the Japanese army, a bomb blew up a Japanese train in Manchuria, giving them an excuse to launch an invasion and take over. So here's the situation. Nazi Germany, Fascist Italy, and Japan all believe they're racially superior, all feel hostility towards the Allies, and all want to militarize and take over more stuff. And so they did. Let's start with Germany. Hitler hated the Treaty of Versailles, and now he was ready to begin undoing it. In complete violation of the treaty, the first Luftwaffe squadrons were set up, conscription was introduced, and he pimped up his army. The Allies did nothing. Then Hitler sent his army back into the demilitarized Rhineland, giving orders to immediately retreat if the Allies showed up. The Allies did nothing. With his military re-strengthened, he could now move on to step 2. He wanted to rapidly increase the Aryan population, and to do so, he needed Lebensraum. Or in other words, he would have to take over the world. But for now, a good portion of Europe would do, and he began eyeing up his neighbors. The Allies finally started to get worried, so the...
My head's like, woo.
Information coming in. I think it is one of them videos like we had in the when did the US and Britain stop hating each other video. It's quite fast, so you got to take it in. But I like OverSimplified. It's done in a cartoony way.
It's fun.
Definitely a funny way. A lot of information.
But I'm also taking in the jokes, so like my head's trying to decide which ones are the jokes.
Implemented a fairly useless diplomatic strategy called Appeasement, and it went a little something like this. Hitler would say, I want that thing. And the Allies would say, you can't have that thing. Okay, you can have that thing, but no more.
Yeah, he's pushing the boundaries.
I want that thing. And repeat. In 1938, Hitler's army marched into Austria and just took it, with no resistance. Boom. This is Germany now.
Was he not Austrian?
He demanded to be given the Sudetenland, an area of Czechoslovakia with many ethnic Germans.
I thought he was from Austria.
I know he definitely... There is a video from OverSimplified on Hitler, which I think I did a long time ago, and I can't remember it fully.
See, I don't know too much about him or kind of what he stood for, what he did.
Yeah.
I just kind of know that everybody hates him.
Potentially he might have been. You might be right. Let us know in the comments. You might be right.
I feel like he was Austrian.
Something like that,
yeah.
The Allies held a meeting with Hitler in Munich and said, look, we're going to give you what... Hang on. This meeting is about my territory. Shouldn't I come to the meeting too? Anyway, we're going to give you what you want.
Like that.
Really? Yeah. Just like that? Yep. What's the catch? Just sign this piece of paper promising you won't invade the rest of Czechoslovakia. Okay. Then Chamberlain returned home victorious, waving his signed piece of paper in the air, declaring crisis to be averted and the continuation of world peace. And we built a statue of Chamberlain in his honor, and every day on the 30th of September we celebrate Chamberlain Day. Hitler's invading the rest of Czechoslovakia. What? He's invading the rest of Czechoslovakia. Oh. You lied to me. What do you expect? I'm Hitler. Not to be outdone, Mussolini also wanted to get in on the action. He thought to himself, isn't there a not yet colonized nation somewhere which is so underdeveloped that the people would be defending themselves against our tanks with literal bows and arrows and wooden spears? Oh, there is?
Oh, wow.
Fantastic. And so he took it. Italy also wanted to control the entrance to the Adriatic Sea, so they occupied Albania. Then, in another incident which was maybe staged by the Japanese, gunfire was exchanged by Japanese and Chinese troops at the Marco Polo Bridge, and the Japanese launched yet another invasion against China.
What do you
They
mean,
swept
no way that's
Marco
real?
Polo Bridge.
Yeah.
Marco Polo. No way, that's a real bridge.
I'm guessing it is. I don't think he's just made it up.
Wow.
This
This video is really impressing me.
It is. You'll pop up for this one, aren't you?
through Beijing and Shanghai, and then advanced through the Yangtze Valley to China's then capital, Nanking. It was here that saw the worst of Japan's shocking atrocities committed against the Chinese people.
Yeah, I think they did
Back
a
in
lot of
Europe,
bad war
Germany
crimes.
and Italy
crimes.
made
I don't
their
know, but I
relationship
think they
status
did.
official by signing the Pact of Steel. Then, Hitler turned his eyes towards Poland and the hated Polish corridor splitting Germany in two. At this point, the Allies really had to put their foot down, and they warned him that an invasion of Poland would mean war. Hitler had planned to continue his advance eastward, but he didn't want to end up fighting a war on two fronts. So for now, he made an alliance with Stalin, saying, "How about we both invade Poland and split it between the two of us, and I definitely won't not refrain from not betraying you sometime in the future."
Don't believe him.
Sounds
Good.
good.
Oh,
This new alliance stunned the West.
Ricky
On the 1st of
mistakes,
September
Yeah.
1939, German troops entered Poland, and Britain and France declared war on Germany. The Poles fought hard, but they were no match for the two giants crashing
the
down on them
sandwich
from either
war.
Yeah,
side.
it's
Then
hard,
came a
that.
period known as the Phony War, where everyone just sort of sat around not doing much. The French had launched a small invasion into the Saarland, but they maintained mostly defensive positions, and after a while decided to just turn around and call it a day.
Oh, wow.
Speaking of France, the French were still super proud of their victory in World War I, and they hadn't really moved on from it. They still used horses, they dispatched messages by motorbike instead of using radio, orders from the commander-in-chief were usually pretty vague, and the troops were rarely inspected. They built a line of defenses along their German border, but didn't bother extending it all the way to the Channel, and they wouldn't launch artillery strikes against Germany out of fear of being retaliated against. In a war, they didn't want to attack the enemy, and at first the
That kinda
UK
makes
wasn't
sense.
much
I kinda
better.
get it.
Chamberlain
Yeah.
still
I was gonna
naively
say,
hoped
'cause
that the
even though it was a war, it was still kind of teetering, it seems, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, yeah.
It
Probably-
wasn't. It didn't seem like it was a
It's
full
not
blown
full
war.
blown. Yeah, it's not full blown yet. So I feel like if you start doing that, then you're potentially going to start a full blown war.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that.
But it does seem quite old school still, which you kind of need to
Yeah.
get with the times, don't you?
war could be ended diplomatically. Instead of bombing raids, the RAF dropped propaganda leaflets over German cities, which
Oh,
one
wow.
air marshal said likely did
Never,
nothing
yeah.
but provide the continent with toilet paper for the duration of the war. They also only sent 200,000 men to France, while the French had mobilized millions. Both Britain and France wanted to avoid a repeat of the First World War, and so they wanted to keep the war as far from home as possible. So they turned their eyes north, towards Norway. Neutral Sweden was exporting iron ore to Germany through neutral Norway, so the Allies asked them if they could please stop exporting iron ore to Germany, but this request was refused. Then the Soviet Union attacked Finland, so the Allies said, how about we land troops in Norway and move them across Sweden to go help out your good pal Finland, and along the way maybe take control of all your armfields. But Norway and Sweden still said no. So the UK mined the waters around Norway to force any transport ships into international
Wow,
waters,
I
and they
didn't
also
know that.
attacked the
Oh.
German tanker they found in the area. Hitler realized what the Allies were up to, and he quickly moved to secure his supply of iron ore. He launched an invasion through Denmark into Norway. The Allies rushed to land troops at key ports along the coast, but Germany had taken control of Norway's airfield, and their air superiority decided the fight. The Allies had to retreat. After this slightly embarrassing failure, Chamberlain resigned and was replaced with Winston Churchill, who had a slightly different approach to dealing with the Germans. Hitler's overall strategy was similar to Germany's First
So
World War.
in theory, he wasn't the prime minister at the start of the World War. That's when he came in to
No,
sort
but
it
I
out.
keep forgetting that World War Two,
Yeah.
even when World War Two was it. Well, it was a long time ago, but it
Yeah.
wasn't like hundreds of years ago. Do you know what I mean?
No, it's probably
like-
what, 80 odd years
but
ago?
the Queen was
The Queen.
born in
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
She was
Well,
in
she was
this.
born. Yeah, she was alive at that
She was
time.
the
Yeah.
child in this.
Yeah, I don't know
I-
when she became. I can't remember when her coronation actually was.
It was after, but she was like a teenager.
Yeah, she'd have been alive during it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
strategy.
bizarre.
Attack France, defeat France, knocking out the UK in the process, then turn on the Soviet Union and win the war. During the Phony War, the Allies had given Hitler time to prepare his forces. Now, he was ready to attack. The Allies had wanted to place troops in Belgium, but Belgium had refused, and in a move that surprised pretty much no one, Hitler launched an invasion to get around France's defenses. The Allies charged into Belgium at full speed to meet the German invasion head-on, and it looked like a repeat of the First World War was coming. But this time, Hitler had a trick up his sleeve. blitzkrieg. As the Germans advanced, they sent thousands of refugees westward, slowing down the Allies. Then, to the south, the French had left the Ardennes, an area full of hills and forests, pretty underdefended because they thought it was naturally impenetrable. Well, the Germans were about to penetrate it with everything they had. They smashed 50 Wehrmacht divisions through and encircled the Allied armies at lightning speed. The best of the Allied forces were now trapped. The Germans squeezed in from all sides, taking out France's best armies and nearly wiping out the British too. But they managed to make a desperate last-minute escape at Dunkirk with British civilians.
Dunkirk, which you've seen the movie with Howard Styles in it.
Yeah.
Because you made me go watch it because that. But it's quite a good movie, isn't it?
It is a good movie, but I forgot what happens in it. I'll probably only focus on Harry Styles, to be fair.
Yeah, it's when I think Dunkirk. It may say this in it. I think it's like the biggest air rescue ever or something like that, or troops getting out of there. Because if you remember,
it was Harry Styles' first movie. I was just kind of focusing on that.
You were not focusing on the actual movie.
If you'd like us to watch it again, we could.
Yeah.
Perilous journey to bring their young men home. With most of the French forces depleted, the Germans breezed through, taking Paris and France fell. What the Germans couldn't do in World War I, Hitler had done just like that. Hitler hoped that with the fall of France, the UK would also lose hope and sue for peace. But quite annoyingly, it didn't, and he needed to secure the Western Front, so he tried to force them into submission with mind games. The UK were now all alone, and Hitler wanted to emphasize that. First of all, just before France fell, Italy finally declared war on the Allies, making the UK's situation even worse. Next, instead of just occupying all of France, Hitler occupied the coastal areas for defense, but allowed France to continue its existence as a German puppet state. This way, it looked like the UK's old ally had decided to switch sides. Hitler also hoped that the UK wouldn't attack any of her old allies' navy bases or colonies in Africa, giving Hitler an extra line of defense to the south. But the UK made sure to respond to this by sailing down to France's navy base in Algeria and wrecking a bunch of ships. So have at it. Hitler then began laying down plans for an invasion of Great Britain. Before German troops could land on British soil, he would first need air and naval superiority across the Channel. Waves of German bombers came, while the completely outnumbered RAF worked bravely around the clock in an attempt to quell the German attacks. At first, the Luftwaffe targeted British ports and coastal...
There we are!
Jersey is there, and we'll save some of this video, because why not? Do you want us to... There is a load of German bunkers, isn't there, in Jersey? Do you want us to potentially do some videos going to maybe other war tunnels? Because there is war tunnels, isn't there?
Would be good.
And there is the history of World War II, which we have in Jersey. So if people do want to see us maybe do a vlog or something like that, let us know in the comments, because we've had a couple of requests, haven't we? We even have like the Hug B as well, which is nothing to do with the war, which is one of the whole oldest historical sites in the world, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can't remember what it is exactly, but it's something like that, isn't it?
It is one of the...
Yeah, it's one of the oldest, isn't it? So let us know if you want to see some vlogs about that in the comments below.
Facilities. Then it attacked RAF bases, crippling the RAF's ability to defend the nation. And it looked like Hitler's Great British Invasion was coming. But then, Churchill ordered a small, pretty insignificant bombing raid over Berlin. It didn't do much damage, but Hitler was furious, and he immediately ordered the Luftwaffe to refocus its attacks on civilian targets in London. Children were sent off to the countryside, away from their parents to avoid danger, and frequent trips to air raid shelters became a daily occurrence. But British morale held firm. Smiling, knitting, lounging casually, these people have balls of steel. This refocusing on London also gave the RAF breathing space to reorganize, so Hitler kind of shot himself in the foot there. Just the foot for now. Finally, the Luftwaffe sent one massive all-out attack on London, and the RAF successfully repelled it, destroying many of the German aircraft and placing air superiority firmly in British hands. Hitler's invasion had to be postponed, but the bombing of British cities continued for some time.
Oh, well, that is the end of part one. That's good, wasn't it?
It was good. It was fun. It was weird because it kind of like made a light-hearted attempt on kind of what is quite a
brutal subject at times, definitely. But that's oversimplified for you, isn't it? Like I say, very simplified, comedy in it as well. But I've missed these videos. They are good, aren't they? Smash that button if you enjoy, guys. Smash that subscribe button. Let us know if you want to do potentially the vlogs in the future, because we do have a couple of requests, don't we? So maybe we will do that. Hope you enjoyed it. Look out for part 2. We'll do it at the same time this goes out, but tomorrow. And what's your view?
Have a fantastic day.
And we will see you, legends, in the next one. Peace.